What is going on, guys? Gemma here and back again to talk about some Death Stranding. And I did a video 11 months ago after last year's E3 asking whether or not Death Stranding would suck. Some of you agreed it would, some of you agreed it wouldn't. And I'm here today to tell you, or to ask you, or to explore whether I still think Death Stranding is going to suck. As last week we had an almost 9-minute gameplay trailer dropped right before this year's E3 that showcased more than we had ever seen. I'm still left without lots of questions. I'm still left with a lot of questions, and I don't necessarily feel that that added much value to the hype train, as I'm still seeing a lot of people kind of question whether or not they're going to be buying it. So let us take a look. If you're new here, find that subscribe button. If you like what I'm doing, if you're into any kind of video game from any era, you're probably going to find it in this lady lounge. I do lots. Oh, and by the way, hopefully doing a retro game hunt this weekend. That'll be dropping next week, guys, so stay tuned. Let's get into it. Will Death Stranding suck? So there's been a lot of reaction trailers dripping through the network of YouTube, and I didn't want to sit here and just react to 9 minutes of my face going, ooh, ah, I just thought I'd come on and talk about it. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm still on the fence about Death Stranding. The reason I'm on the fence is because I just don't know much about the backstory. I'm not taken by the environments that we saw. Like, it kind of looks like, with the footage that we saw last week, Norman Reedus, who I love, the protagonist, I believe he's called Sam, riding through what looks to be the Lake Districts, or certainly areas of where I used to live in the Lake District, hammering around on a bike with lots of rain. It's very moody, it's very dark. We also see some footage where Sam goes into a bit of a wooded area, which is even darker, and the game looks quite depressive. I don't know if that's something that I'm going to be able to sit down and soak up and really kind of absorb the information like I want to. Now, on my video 11 months ago, this person, because I mentioned Metal Gear Solid 4, which I enjoyed, but I wasn't fanatical about. I do think the series lost its way like a lot. And that person accused me of not having the intellect to be able to understand Metal Gear Solid. I actually feel that games are open to interpretation. The problem I have with Death Stranding is I can't interpret what is going on because I don't really have much, or at least I don't feel that I have much. I want to know more about the story. Like I said, I want to know more about what year is it set, like what is actually going on with what we're seeing. In terms of like me streaming it, because I always look at games as to whether or not I'm going to be able to sit there for 3, 4, 5 hours and stream it. And I will stream Death Stranding. I will stream it. But I don't know if it's going to pique my attention or give me the immersion that I want. I think a game like that is going to be laden with cutscenes, like really top heavy with cutscenes, because I do think the story is going to be huge when we finally get to understand what it's about. It's going to be laden with cutscenes, and I know from an audience's perspective that does not hold people's attention. I know from my analytics that large cutscenes on streams don't hold it like people's attention, which, you know, gets me kind of asking, and probably know the answer to this is, I think Death Stranding is going to have a certain market audience, a certain target audience. It's not going to be for every gamer. I think it's certainly going to suit the more seasoned gamers that are on a level that just can kind of sit in their living room or in their game room and just play by themselves on their own. Obviously, you know, things like multiplayer, I don't envisage that's ever going to be a part of something like Death Stranding, because Kojima's games aren't about that. It is very much about that kind of feeling of isolation, that, you know, stealthing and upgrading. And, you know, I say this with passion as I'm thinking back to Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation 1, which we completed on stream, by the way, and you guys loved that series. So I don't know, guys, I'm a little bit skeptical. And I will say this, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about how I feel. I would love nothing more than to buy Death Stranding and it to just blow me away. It to have like, we've seen like the gameplay, which say if it's like this layer, and then you buy the game and you just realise there's just like, wow, so much more immersion behind what we've already seen. I'd like to think that what we've seen doesn't kind of represent everything as a whole. I mean, we got to saw some combat mechanics, we got to see some stealth mechanics where Norman Reedus' character is kind of traversing some hills and he's kind of leaving blueprints of himself as to kind of where he's been. I don't know if he can see that as well as enemies or like what, I don't know. We also got to see him kind of spawn various bits of equipment like a ladder, and then you're able to kind of utilise the ladder to get from A to B. I mean, it sounds really, really good when I'm like kind of reeling it through like this. It sounds awesome, but I just feel like it's missing a little bit of charm, and I don't know if my like mental health can take a game like that serious and that seemingly depressive, but I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. So if you're one of those kinds of people that doesn't agree with what I'm saying and just wants to slam me in the comments and thumb me down because you just don't agree with me, okay, fine, be that immature and do that. But if you can kind of like look at this, what I'm saying, and give me a little bit of constructive feedback about how you feel, leave a like. Because I love these kinds of videos because we can just explore it, and I feel like we're creating our own little bubble where we can dive into and just kind of talk about games and really explore it. In fact, you guys might actually be able to convince me that I'm missing something. Like, am I missing something about Death Stranding? I don't know. I'm nervous about it, but we'll see. We will see in November. I think Sony, like I said in last week's video, Sony have been riding the E3 wave in the build-up, and they've been using it very cleverly to kind of get the rumour mill going, and then we get the Death Stranding trailer. We know they're not going to be at E3, but it's really clever how this build-up has come about. So fingers crossed I'm wrong. I'm still on the fence. I don't have enough to make an absolute judgment, but I'll get it because I'd be hypocritical if I didn't, and I'd be ashamed of myself. Another thing that I want to kind of bring to the table here is the sound design. I've watched the trailer, and I don't think a lot of gamers do this. I've watched the trailer and then I've put my phone down, I've played the trailer again, and I've just listened to it to see if I get any different kind of feelings or vibes. And just from listening to the trailer, I noticed that the sound design is really powerful. There's lots of really kind of like weird sound effects, and the music in the background sounds fantastic. Quite fast paced actually. I think if you just listen to the sound of the trailer, it sounds so much more kind of frantic than is if you watch it. So that gave me a little bit of something to kind of chew on, so to speak. That gave me a little bit of hope. So we'll see. I think sound is a huge part of the game. It's 50% of the game. Without a shadow of a doubt, sound is 50% of a video game. And then with a decent headset on, you can hear so much more. So maybe that will be it. I don't know. Maybe that will kind of amplify the immersion here. And it's really nice as well to see some familiar faces and hear the voices. Like, there's nothing better than hearing Norman Reedus in a video game. As we know, unfortunately, PT was cancelled. The new apparent Silent Hill that was coming out, and it's nice that I think overall it's great that, you know, Kojima and Norman Reedus can work together as well, and obviously the lovely Del Toro, he is making an appearance in Death Stranding as well, so it's nice to see some familiar faces. So gamers, there we go. I'm praying I'm wrong. I like the sound design. I don't feel visually it encapsulates me as much as I would like, but here's to hoping that there's multiple layers behind what we've already seen when Death Stranding comes out in November. Don't hate me, slam your comments, be adult about it, and I would just like to thank you for all the support you guys show me. I hope you can join me in Friday's video and then streams all over the weekend, but for now I'm going to leave it there. Death Stranding, please don't suck. If it does, I'll say, okay, my intuition was right. My name is Gemma, have a great one, take care, and I'll see you guys soon.